The DJI Osmo Pocket 3 does an amazing job at producing very high quality footage with little to no effort or input from you whatsoever. But if you do find yourself wanting to shoot in D-Log-M and you want a very quick and easy way to actually color grade that footage, especially if you're a beginner and you're just getting into how to color grade footage, then in this video I'm going to show you a plugin that I've been using for years. It's my absolute favorite and I use it for 99% of the videos that I create on my channel. And if you do shoot in the normal color profile from time to time and you notice that the footage looks a little bit washed out, I've sometimes noticed that it doesn't look quite as rich as it could, then you can also use this to color grade that footage as well and just give a little bit of a lift and a little bit of a boost to that footage to just enhance it a little bit further. So one of the things that I will say about D-Log-M is that when you're exposing the footage, I tend to set my exposure up so that my EV meter is around -0.3, because I feel like when it's at 0, the highlights, even though they're not clipped, they're sometimes a little bit too intense, and so that can sometimes make the skin tones look a little bit unflattering. And even if you bring those highlights back down in post, it doesn't have the same effect as if you shoot at a lower EV meter reading, and then you can always increase it in post if you need to. So the plugin that I use is Film Convert Nitrate, and like I said, I've been using this for years and it's awesome. So if you're not too familiar with Film Convert and what Film Convert Nitrate is, it's a film emulation suite which allows you to apply a film-like look to your footage, and there are tons of different film stocks in there that you can choose from, and you can apply it as little or as much as you want to the footage to get that kind of look that you want. And recently Film Convert added a camera pack for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, so this is something that I've been waiting for since the Pocket 3 came out, so I'm so excited that it's actually here for the Pocket 3 now, because it means that I can just color grade my footage really quickly and easily with Film Convert Nitrate now. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is obviously import your footage onto the timeline. So I've got 3 clips here. I've got 3 D-Log-M clips, and I've also got a normal color clip as well. But I'm just going to go through and do the D-Log-M footage first. And I've actually put an adjustment layer over the top because I just want to color grade all these at the same time, because they're all going to look exactly the same in terms of the color grade anyway. And I'm going to go over to my effects. I'm on my film emulation and I'm going to get Film Convert Nitrate and drag that over the top. So as you can see, it's already applied a slight effect. And what you need to do, so this is before, this is after. Let me just go to, let's say here, and this is before and this is after. So obviously we're not just going to stop there, so we actually need to go through and find the camera profile for the Osmo Pocket 3. So go to DJI for the make and for the model, Osmo Pocket 3, and then the color profile is D-Log-M. And so you can see it's kind of tidied it up a little bit. I'll just move this over here, and all you have to do is just come down to this panel here and just go through all these different settings until you get the look that you really want, and it's just a case of playing around with those sliders. So in terms of the film stock, I'm gonna potentially go with the first one because that always tends to be one of my favorites, but you've got loads of different film stocks in here and these are all going to look different depending on how you play around with these sliders later on, but I'm going to go with the first one. And then I'm just going to start adding in some film stock vibrance. So this is like a bit of a color for the film stock. I'm going to play around with that, probably put it around there. And I'm just going to take the saturation up a little bit as well. And then I'm just going to bring the film color down a little bit, not too much. So if I went all the way, you can see what that looks like, but I'm probably going to leave it around there. And then this syn to PFE, this is kind of like contrast, so you can see it's putting it all the way back to almost being log, but this is basically gives you the contrast, so you can do that as much or as little as you want, and probably put it around there for me. And then the grain, so this is the film grain that you have over your footage, and I'm just going to put that to around, let's say around 70. And it is just a case of going through and making it look how you want. The other thing that Film Convert have is an add-on called halation. So if you don't film with a mist filter with your Osmo Pocket 3 because you don't have one, then if you have Film Convert Nitrate and you download or you get the halation add-on, then you can actually add that and it'll kind of apply this dreamy mist-like effect to the footage. So again, this is something that you can dial in as much or as little as you want. And if you just want to see what areas of the scene halation is affecting, then you can apply this view halation alone setting, and then you can just increase the sensitivity, you can increase the strength, and you can just see what areas it's affecting there. And if I just turn this off and toggle this on and off, so this is with halation on, and I've just increased the sensitivity and the strength. And if you look mainly around the sky and the lamppost here, you can see the halation being on and off there. And the reason that it's got this orangey red look to it is because it's trying to emulate the natural halation that you would get with that film stock. But if you actually wanted to reduce that colour or just get rid of it altogether, then you could go down to the additional settings in halation and just remove the saturation and put it down to 0. And then you can see that you've got that more dreamy like mist filter effect without having the colour of the halation on there. So that's entirely up to you. You can obviously make it more vibrant as well, or just get rid of it altogether. And so if you do before and after, you can kind of see, if you again look at this area up here, that it's affecting the sky there a little bit. And you can just play around with this as much as you want to get the look that you want again. So you could go really crazy. So I'll probably just put it around there. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is just reduce the highlights a little bit, very slightly, and then also just add in some saturation, a bit more saturation here perhaps. And so if you look at before, let me just get rid of this. So this was the D-Log M footage, and then this is the footage color graded with Film Convert. One of the things that I will say as well is obviously it's applied it to these clips, so this looks fine. So if I just show you this as well, this is before the color grade and this is after. And what I'm actually going to do for this clip, because I think this clip is a little bit overexposed for me, I'm going to add cinematch to this. So let me just hide Film Convert for now. Cinematch is a really good way to color correct the footage, and also if you wanted to match your Pocket 3 to a different camera that you have so that the footage looks seamless in your whole video, then you can use Cinematch to do that. But I'm just going to use Cinematch to just check my exposure levels. So I'm going to go to camera matching. I'm going to drop cinematch on the actual clip because I just want it to affect this clip. And then I'm going to open the controls. And again, just like with Film Convert, you want to make sure that you're selecting the right camera make and model. So DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I shot in D-Log M. So if you actually wanted to match the Osmo Pocket 3 to one of your other cameras, then you'd go to choose your target camera and you'd put the make and model in there. So for example, if you were shooting with a Sony a7S III or any other camera that you have, then you can do that and it will match the Osmo Pocket 3 to that camera, and then you can color grade it and it will all look the same. So you can see down here you've got this exposure bar, and then you've also got the exposure false colors. This is the one that I want because I just want to see at what point it's being overexposed. So when you enable exposure false colors and then you go to skin tone, if you've got any grey where there is orange, it means that it's overexposed. So you can see this is really overexposed. And then as you pull it back down and there's no sort of light grey in those orange areas, that means that the footage is more correctly exposed. So that's a really good way of just checking your exposure and making sure that you're not underexposed or overexposed. So if you were underexposed, you wouldn't have any orange on your skin at all. I'm just going to pull it back to about there. Then you can turn that off, close Cinematch, and then if you go back to Film Convert, then it just looks a little bit better there and it doesn't look as overexposed as it did. So that is just a really quick and easy way of color grading your footage with D-Log M. So if you then wanted to do this with the normal color profile, it's the exact same process. You just drag Film Convert onto your footage. I'm just going to drag it over this clip, and you can see again it's changed the look just with the default look, but we're going to go and select the Osmo Pocket 3, and we shot in the normal colour profile. And then again, it's just a case of going through and tweaking these settings a little bit. So I'm gonna maybe bring this down a bit, add a bit of film stock vibrance, add a bit more saturation. I'm also just going to reduce the exposure a little bit. I'm also going to change the film stock to this one because I quite like this. It gives it a bit of a more natural look to the normal footage. And then again, just go through and adjust the look that you want. So if I show you the before and after, this is the normal colour profile. This was just shot as it was from the camera, and then this is with the Film Convert colour grade on it. So with Film Convert Nitrate and Cinematch, you can actually download a trial version and you'll get the full suite. The only difference is that between the paid and the trial is that you'll get a watermark on your footage until you actually buy a license. But Film Convert actually have a promotion going on at the moment where you can get up to 33% off Film Convert Nitrate and Cinematch. But if you also then use my code, which I'll put in the description, you can actually get a further 10% off as well. So that's 43% off Cinematch and 43% off Film Convert. And honestly, it's a bargain. These plugins are literally, they're one of those ones that I just couldn't live without now. And yeah, they are the most valuable assets in my toolbox, my editing toolbox. So well worth checking out and just trying it out for yourself and see how you like it. So yeah, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. Otherwise, the link is in the description along with the coupon code. Thank you so much to Film Convert for getting out the profile for the Osmo Pocket 3 because I've been waiting for it since the Pocket 3 came out and now my life is complete. But yeah, thanks guys for checking out the video and I'll see you on the next one.